All right, welcome back to the 1090 podcast. We have a special episode today. We have Janessa Whatcott and Maggie Christensen. They both lost their son to osteosarcoma. And I'm honestly just going to step away and listen to you two talk. But I've had you both on the podcast before. Janessa, you were OG 1090. That was like my apartment in Murray in the basement. That's when I was day drinking. Like I was throwing back blue moons at 10 a.m. back then. Like not good for me.
Couldn't tell.
You couldn't tell? Oh, great. We didn't have video yet, so that helped. But no, your story's obviously brutal. And I remember when it happened, and the way your family has responded to that has just been a huge example to me. And I think it's a big reason why we have the 1090 Foundation. Just you took the absolute worst thing, and this Nixon Strong Foundation that you started is so cool. And thanks for showing up for me in those early days in the basement. I like to think we've come a little bit since then. And then Maggie, you just lost Jax. We just had you on not too long ago.
Yeah.
And that's something I like about this dynamic is lots of similarities, but also lots of differences. Janessa Nixon passed away about 7 years ago. Maggie Jax just passed away 2025, a few months ago. Thank you so much for showing up and doing this and having a hard conversation. I'm gonna get the ball rolling with. I just kind of do this shotgun spray of questions like I always do, and then shut up and good luck to whoever I'm interviewing. So my shotgun spray of questions is, I think to just start the podcast, I do want to hear, like, Maggie, you just lost Jax, and Janessa kind of like talking to her about how your grief has evolved over the 7 years. And then I just don't know. Like, and this is such a hard question, but if you're a parent and your kid gets diagnosed with osteosarcoma, knowing what you guys know now, do you think it's okay to not fight it and just let's try to live a happy life? Or or can you just not do that? You're just going to have to fight no matter what, so you can just live with yourself after? Like, what do you say to parents who are questioning that? Like, are parents able to choose not to fight it and feel okay about themselves? Like, do you think that would be, I don't know. I just have that thought. So anyway, there's my shotgun spray of questions. Thanks for coming on, and good luck.
Okay. Well, I would think was the most recent one that you said about parents just recently diagnosed and if they should fight it. I feel like it's not necessarily like a death sentence. I feel like it's worth giving it a shot, whether it's with chemotherapy or like holistic secondary. I always call them secondary doctors. I don't know what they're called. I don't know.
No, yeah, holistic.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I think it's worth a shot because I feel like you don't want to have those regrets of if I should have, would have, could have done this.
Yeah.
So and like with us, like with Nixon, we just went with like standard protocol hospital gave us. We didn't implement a lot of like secondary holistic type things because I just didn't know about them at the time. And like when I'd reached out to like people or advice, they were like, it's not worth it. But looking back, I feel like I should have done it. I should have pushed more. I should have researched more. I should have looked for those different avenues to support maybe that. But I didn't know. And I just went in with what they told me.
Well, and it's hard because they tell you don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't get holistic with it because it's going to affect the chemo, right? So like I did the same thing. The first when we did MAP, I did not do anything. I wouldn't let him eat things with like a lot of antioxidants because they said don't do it. It's going to affect the chemo. And then as soon as we relapsed, I was like, well, they just said like, well, if I was Jackson's parent, I would take him home now and make memories. And that was like 2023. So obviously I'm not going to, my answer was like, absolutely fucking not. And Corey's like dying in a corner because he really liked our team, but I'm just a Karen. And But obviously I did do it and my kid still died. So I think that like you shouldn't feel guilty. But I do think that it would help people to start from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've just learned, I mean, you've learned way more. I'm like, you feel like you just learned more after it. Just, I think, being a part of the community, and you're like, why wouldn't they tell you to do that? Like, why wouldn't doctors be like, we're going to do this, but I think we should also do this? Like, do both of them. And so I feel like that's the most frustrating thing, is because doctors are just like, nope, this is the one way. And you're like, no, like, that's not.
And then the team here at primaries, like at least my oncologist, is the face of COG, of the, of the original protocol. So anything that's going to be outside the box, it's going to be pushing because he is the face of the standardized care.
Yeah.
So that was hard for us. And when I did go to the Factor convention just recently, someone asked like, well, what do you think about like changing their nutrition? And there was like 12 doctors that were international, and they're like, yeah, we want to study it. We haven't studied it. So when they tell us, oh, there's no link, it's not because there's no link. It's just that it hasn't been researched.
For
You
sure.
know what I mean? I wish people knew that.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot more people can do about it to help with. So yeah, first diagnosis, osteosarcoma,
Fight it.
research whatever you can. And I mean, I don't think it ever hurts to do supplement or like any secondary things. I think if anything, it'll help your body be healthier to fight it. And that's what you need. So
But also, like, don't think that choosing to not do chemo is going to spare your child of like pain. It's a painful death. Like, they're going to be in pain if you don't do radiation on those tumors, and if you don't do chemo for the cancer that's taking over. Like, it's going to hurt either way.
yeah,
You might
For
as well
sure.
try.
yeah, I agree. Next question. What was it? I forgot already. That's a grief brain.
The difference of 7 years and just recently.
7 years. Let's see.
Yeah, what
For like the grief, I feel like everybody, this is like the cliche thing that they're like, your first year, Maggie, I know you've heard this too. I'm like, and people who say that just haven't ever lost anybody or ever been through anything. I feel like my first year, I was just numb, like just going through the motions of just surviving, of taking care of all the other kids and just trying to get day by day by day. And I don't think it really hit for me really hard until like the second and third year. And I was like, holy crap, like this is where we're at. Like, and at that point, I mean, people have moved on from their lives, which is understandably like, and I just was like, I don't know what to do. Like, it was awful. Like, I felt alone. I didn't know what to do. Like, the coping mechanisms that helped me, like my first year, weren't doing anything my second and third year. And I remember coming to like a point, I was out on the porch and I just was just like bawling, and I was just telling Nick, like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is awful. Like, I just feel broken and lost, and it was awful. So like, and then I figured out, like, I had this realization after that where I was just like, I have to figure it out on my own. Like, yeah, family and friends were there to support you, and they are there at times to support you, but I had to figure out how I was going to like live this life without Nixon on my own, and what I was going to do with that and how I was going to do that. And at first it was like so scary, because it's like, I'm like, even now thinking about it, I'm like sweating. I'm like, you're scared because you're just like, how am I going to do this? It feels like such a big thing. But then like, it kind of became like empowering the past few years since that. So what are we on? Like 3 years since that, where it's just like, I felt like I was more in control, and I've learned how to like different tools to navigate the grief. Whereas the first year, it's like, I didn't know what to do. Second and third year, I was like, I don't have any tools. I don't even know what to do with this. And finally it's like, okay, I figured out what to do to navigate through that, and I don't know, be a normal person maybe a little bit.
Did you do therapy?
I did it a couple times. And it was great. I just felt like it was good. Like, the talk therapy was good, but I felt like I needed something more. So I like started reading books on grief and about like how it affects you mentally and physically. And I did that. I started like, but this wasn't until like let's see, 3 or 4. I like started going to the gym. Nick always went to the gym all throughout like Nixon's treatments and afterwards. And I did not have it in me. Like I couldn't even try to function during the day, was exhausting enough. And I think a lot of it was up in my head. Like I was going through so much of my head, like physically, it just was so draining. Like, but I think around that year, like 4, where it kind of switched and I started going to the gym just because I was pissed off. Like I remember one time I had like one of those weighted balls and I just kept throwing it. And instead of counting, it was like every single kid I knew that had passed from cancer. And it was just like over and over and over. And it just became like this release of like, I was so tired of feeling like the emotional pain of it. I wanted to go to the gym and just like beat the shit out of myself so I could feel like the physical pain. Like I wanted my legs to hurt so bad because it was like a different type of pain, which I don't know. Maybe that sounds neurotic, but
No, I've gotten like 6 tattoos
I
in
know.
like 3 months.
I'm like, I wanted to feel something besides like the emotional and the mental pain of it. And so like the gym became that thing of just like working out to like just I had to release it. I think I just was to that point. I was so angry and so upset. I had to figure out to get it out of my system somehow.
I think Corey is at like we're the opposite of what you and Nick are. Like I got a trainer. Well, I was like drinking way too much, so I got a trainer, and it was like focused on my sleep, my drinking, and when you see how much you're drinking, like on paper, you're like, oh yeah, like really, how am I alive? You know. But so I switched it, but Corey's still like he can't function. Like it is like if he's not constantly working, he's a mess. You know.
Which is that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, he literally lost. And I feel like people don't understand that. And they think, oh, why are you acting like this? And you should be doing this. It's like, no, you literally just lost your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that you're even alive and breathing is remarkable in and of itself.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Like how people have been commenting on mom posts about their grief and they're like, this should be private. Why? Why should it be? Why should we let somebody drown in their grief? Because it makes you uncomfortable. Like, death is uncomfortable. Like that sucks, you know? But you guys know how I respond. I'm not like politically correct. I'm super rude to people like that on there. I just feel like you can't tell somebody how to grieve. Like,
well, and they're rude for posting it, for even saying it anyways. It's like, well, then go away if you don't want to see this. The world isn't all about sunshines and rainbows.
That is what I saw at first when I was looking for cancer stories, was sunshine and rainbows. Like people that are in remission post a lot.
Yeah.
And they thank God and they have lots of vacations and I thank every day for, you know, the birthdays are amazing and everything like that. And then I just didn't see anybody like that was dying posting. So to me, I was like, are we the only ones freaking dying? Like what? Why? Like what the hell, you know? And that's why I started posting like every scan is bad. We don't have like, it was localized, but like the first scan was like, oh, it's only 10% dead. And from there I was like, oh, he's going to die.
Yeah.
You know? And I just couldn't find anybody that had that. It seemed like everybody was having at least 6 months of remission for osteo, like at least something. And my kid was never in real remission, which I know you know how that feels. And probably back then it was even less people sharing, you know?
But I think you're smart to bring it because I feel like social media as a whole, everybody is always posting about everything that's just so great. And it's not. Everybody's life has something really crappy in it. And so I love that you do that because you just bring it back to reality of like, no, this is real stuff of what people are going through.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I try. I sometimes don't do it with like that intention, but like I try to show, you know.
It's good.
Yeah.
And it helps people.
And just for the record, people getting donations. This one I have to say just right off the bat. People getting donations doesn't mean they're greedy. How many of us would have traded every trip that we got to have our kid here?
Absolutely.
So like when you go and write a comment like, oh, they're getting rich off of their kid is dying. Just there's nothing more to it. Their kid is dying.
And I think you had mentioned this in your podcast that I listened to earlier. I'm like, it's expensive. Like people think like, well, you have insurance. I'm like, well, you have your you have your deductible you have to meet, and then you have your whatever 10 or 20% on top of that every single year. And then if you want to go outside of normal protocol, insurance doesn't cover that
At
So
all.
Anything you do is like, it can be up to a couple $1,000s a month.
Everything we did holistic was out of pocket.
Exactly.
And even actually some of his chemos was out of pocket just because, well, we got denied for a few just because, like I said, there's no actual set protocol for when you relapse from osteo. You're just trying anything, and your insurance can be like, well, that's not the gold standard, so we're not going to cover it.
Yep.
And what am I going to do? Oh, okay, let my kid die faster. That's fine.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, people don't realize how expensive it is. And the things, like you said, that get denied and are deemed unmedically necessary. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like his prosthetic leg was deemed unnecessary. It was like
had that.
$12,000 that Shriners covered for me, thankfully. But
We had that with Nixon too, because he wanted a blade so he could run. And they're like, no, you can have a flat foot. And we're like, no, he's a kid. He needs a blade so he can run. And
yeah,
same thing. It's just like, what the freak?
yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
I can't really relate to, I mean, I relate really well to a lot of your pain just from losing a kid, but I think one thing I always fail to ask and talk about enough is like the level of pain they're going through. And I think one of the reasons that's not talked about is it's just not fun to talk about. No one wants to think about that and relive that several months or however long it was. But especially Maggie with what you just said, like you're watching other families and kids get success and treatment and all this stuff, and you're over here like, we can't get one successful scan. I just want to kind of honor what Jax and Nixon went through with this pain. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it? And then how does it shift the whole, not just his life, obviously, but the whole family dynamic now? Like getting kids to school, to sports, like everything's different when you're going through the treatment process. So it's not just watching the kids suffer, it's just watching your whole life unravel and trying to keep that together. I just want to talk about that terrible, dark time. And I don't know how long was it for you, and then how long was it for you, Maggie? The time it took
Of
to just
treatment?
to just watch them suffer till they died.
22 months for us.
Ours was 18. So
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, because I have a blended family, right? So we were having to deal with, like, Jackson is in a lot of pain. Like, right before his rotation plasty, he was, like, screaming from the tumor pain, right? Because, I don't know if you know, but chemo aggravates the tumor. It makes it hurt more. And so he was, distraught. He couldn't walk. He couldn't watch TV. Like, we had to sit there and no TV or something super boring because he didn't want to laugh. Like, everything hurt. But we've got that. We've got Sophie missing. She was going to be in the Disney parade for her dance studio, your sister's dance studio. She had to miss that. And that was 2 years in a row. We had to miss a couple conventions. And for her, like, she got it, but like she didn't. She was 7. Like, she didn't understand that, like, he was going to die. So she was just like, I want cancer too, because I want attention. And my older boys, I feel like they held it all in. They didn't ever really show, like, too much of, like, oh, you guys are leaving us out or anything like that. But, like, we missed, and you're a baseball mom. It's not Cooperstown, but it's in Omaha. Yeah, we missed Omaha for Shaden. And, like, it was paid for. Corey was supposed to go, and that's the week we got diagnosed.
Oh, gosh.
And so, we have to deal with Shaden's mom. Obviously, she's feeling some type of way, like, you're not going to baseball games, you're not going to conferences. And it's like, it's not that he doesn't want to, it's that we're at chemo, or it's hard to balance everything. Like, everybody feels, I don't know, affected, left out in some way. They're all hurting too, not just because their brother's dying, but like, now I'm not seen.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it takes your whole family and it just shakes them all up, and everybody's just trying to, like, find their spot and where they are. And it's not easy. You do the best you can and you hope you're doing what is right, but rightfully so, a lot of the attention does go to the kid that has cancer because I don't know.
They're limited. Their time is limited. Yeah.
And like it's like whatever, they're on fire. Like that's what you have to like take care of, and you try your best to manage everybody else and hope they understand, but they're kids and rightfully so. Like, of course, yeah, they want to be like, well, I want cancer. I want that too. I want that attention. And I think we probably did the same as you guys, where you just try to give whatever attention you can and just spread yourself as thin as possible and pray that, I don't know, they'll understand one day.
I think it made me be harder on my teenagers too. Like normal teen things. I mean, they're not normal, but like, for example, Ryder was bullying somebody on his cheer team, and I have Bark on his phone. And I saw it in the middle of the day when I was working. I called him down to my classroom, and I was like, you have 30 seconds to get your phone down here. I know where your locker is. Do not delete anything. And my classroom's like, oh no, I was like way harder on him than I would have, because I'd be like, your brother is dying. Like, how are you out here bullying people? How are you being like a shitty person?
Yeah.
I didn't raise you like this. And he's not going to get to be a teenager. Like, how are you? This is what you're doing. And the same day, Shaden had like made a teacher cry. And I was like livid. And Corey's like, okay, but it's not their fault that Jax has cancer. Like, you have to like, this is like their own isolated incident. Like, you can't just be like holding it against them, or holding them up on like basically on a pedestal to be like better, because their brother is going to die.
That's true.
It made me really hard on them, which sucks. I'm trying so hard to not be like that anymore.
I know, but it's hard because, like you said, you were like, I raised you better. But then hindsight, I'm like, maybe that's their way of dealing it, is not lashing out, but they have it, they have it all built up in them and maybe acting that way. Because I've thought about that, like with my kids sometimes. Like my son was doing something and I was like venting to my other son, and I'm like, what is his problem? Like, why is he acting like that? Like, doesn't he know, like, he doesn't know that kid's story, or he could be doing that too. And he looked at me, he's like, yeah, but look what he's been through too. And I was like, I sound, not that I don't forget, but I feel like maybe it's having boys. Like, I don't see it firsthand as much as maybe losing Nixon has and did affect them.
Mm-hmm.
And so same thing, I try to be like, okay, like, obviously, like, I can't imagine losing your sibling and trying to be a kid and trying to process that. And like, because I feel like as adults, we're like, we don't know what to do. We're like, this is a mess. But as a kid, like, trying to process that and understand it, I have to try to remind myself, like, yeah, they went through hell. Like, they went through a lot of shitty things at a really young age, and like, kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, I guess.
I mean, I put Ryder in therapy, and he's been so much nicer, like, because he has, there's a lot to Ryder, like, there's a lot more behind that, but it has helped a ton. And I'm going to do that to Sophie, because she's got really clingy. Because, okay, so like, Ryder at one point went to another house, and Shaden goes to another house. And so Sophie and Jax were never at other houses. They were always with each other.
Yeah.
So whether they were, trying to kill each other or being friends that day, they were together. And so for her, now she's like, my best friend and best enemy is gone forever. And so she's like having nightmares, trying to sleep in our bed. And this girl is like almost 10, and she's as tall as me. Like, I'm like, dude, you cannot be in my bed, like you've got to give me some space. Like, the day I got my tattoo and I'm like trying to sleep, like, because it's hurting, she's like in my bed trying to kick me. I'm like, no, we can't do this. Like, she's got to get some kind of something. So, and she's so clingy to her dad, because Corey was a main caregiver. He was always with Jax, and I feel like she is trying to pull him in.
She needs that like connection,
and she needs to talk about it, I think. Because I think it's hard for somebody to process at 9. Like, my brother is going to be in none of my future memories. Like, my kids won't know him, and he won't be at my wedding, like that kind of stuff. Like, It was hard for Jax, actually. Like, the week before he died, him and Ryder were fighting. He's like, I'm not even going to be your best man. You suck. And then he looked at me and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to be his best man. And, like, that was super hard for me.
Yeah.
And Sophie is barely getting that now,
She's kind of coming around to the realization of it.
Yeah.
Which is awful. And no kid should have to do that. Like, no kid should have to, like, lose their best friend.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
And your boys feel that too, because, you know, I can imagine all boys growing up in the same house all the time are just so tight. And that was going to be their best man too, and their best friend and an uncle, you know?
Yeah. And I think people don't realize that when you lose a kid, because I think you just lose like that kid, but like you lose you lose them being an uncle, you lose them being a dad, you lose them being a grandpa. Like that kid and all the branches that are spread out that could be connected to that kid is just severed and gone.
Yeah.
And it's just awful.
And I think one of the things I never had thought of before was like his classmates. Like he went to the same school and had the same classmates, kindergarten to third grade, and to see them at his memorial, like so torn up, that got me. Like
That was
hard.
Me and Ryan were there, and it was so hard but beautiful too. Like the thing that makes kids so awesome is they're so honest. They're just brutally honest, and like some of these kids got up there like, I just miss him so much, and I wish he didn't get cancer, and just so real and raw. And it was beautiful.
And then he had some of like his best girl. He had a girlfriend for a while, and
Good on him.
She could forever. They were the same girl too. I would have been Corey and Topanga, but he you know, he died and she couldn't come. She couldn't come to the viewing, and she couldn't come to them. Like I texted her mom, and she's like, I don't know that she can do it, and you know,
That's awful.
and the day he died, this like because I teach third grade, so my third graders that year, so Sophie's grade, and then my the fourth graders who had been my kids when we were doing the first year of treatment, and then his grade. It was just counseling and crying. You know what I mean? And I had never thought of that. Like these kids just experienced their first death at 8, 9, and 10.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, like that one. I hated the fact that they were going to go through that and have to see. I invited only 5 of his friends to come to the viewing to see his body, but his best friend like didn't want to get close, and then when he did, just the panic attack, like, you know, like it's not really him, like he's really gone. And yeah, I don't know. Nixon didn't go to school, right?
No, he got diagnosed like second half of his kindergarten year. So we kind of did treatment that spring. So he kind of went to school hit and miss, but it was kindergarten. And I'm like, well, you have your whole lifetime to learn your ABCs and your math. Like, who cares? And then we found out that summer when he was terminal that it was starting to spread. And so he went to maybe a handful of days her first grade year, but it was like a new class, a new teacher, like, and at that point I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So I feel, and he was happy because we had Jet at home. So he was happy to stay home and play with Jet, and he didn't feel good, and we had radiation appointments and all that. And so he didn't have that school experience, that opportunity. And
yeah, he was robbed of everything.
Yeah. And then when he did go, he would always call me and check him out because he was in pain and he didn't feel good. And so it just, he never had that opportunity to go and be a kid a lot.
Yeah, Jackson went a handful of times to 5th grade. He didn't really go to 4th grade. My best friend was his teacher, so she would come teach him, but he couldn't make the whole day either. Like, it was just too much. Mentally, I think, you know, they have chemo brain and everything, but just too much.
What's their like their passion or their drive? Like, I can't imagine like I'm gonna die of cancer, and this teacher's like, all right, you need to know your 7 times tables. I would just be like, no, like like what was that like?
Jax was sassy. He would like tell like my best friend, and she's gonna listen to this and I'm sure laugh, but he'd be like, she would say like, log into your computer, and he's like, do you know I have cancer? And she's like, yes, I know that you have cancer. He's like, okay, because I have cancer, like I have cancer. And she's like, yeah, but it's like in your leg and like you can still log in. Like trolling her all of the time. Or he'd be like,
totally see that.
Why do I have to learn how to round my decimals? Oh my gosh.
The dark humor, that was great.
Or so him though.
Yeah. Or he'd like go to class and like The one time he did go to the 4th grade, he like threatened to slap somebody with his foot because it's backwards, you know? Like just, I don't know. He was just, he didn't love school to begin with. We already had trouble with that. And other than like recess. So he was just like, I don't care about rounding and stuff like that. But it was something to, first, he wasn't terminal at first, but also it was something to distract him from,
Yeah.
you know, too many hours doing nothing. Like, but at the end, he was just YouTubing away, you know. Once like his lung collapsed, and we were like weeks to months. I was like, I'm not going to make him log on to anything. Like, just
No.
let him watch FGTV.
Can I ask this question from a listener that was sent in?
Yeah.
Janessa, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. You're going to answer first.
Okay.
It is a tough question, too, so good luck. How did you navigate telling them what was going on? They were so young, you obviously want to protect them from the reality of the situation while also being as honest as you can be. Much love to both of you from Michigan.
I wasn't honest with my kids at all about it. I feel
Such
like
a hard, yeah.
I'm like, they were young, like they didn't, and I just feel like, I don't know. I just protected them maybe, and maybe I did too much. I don't know, but I feel like, I mean, Drew was what, 11, I think, at the time when Nixon was diagnosed. Yeah. So he was our oldest. So our oldest was 11. And so, I mean, we just did your basics. Nixon has an infection. It's called cancer. We got to do chemotherapy to kill it. And we use the analogy because they were all boys and into like army guys and just like good soldiers, bad soldiers. You know, he has bad soldiers in his body. Good soldiers are the chemo. They're going to go kill out the chemo or kill out the cancer, and it'll be fine. We knew at the time like he needed his leg amputated, but we didn't tell them that, and we didn't tell him that because I'm like, just the fact that has the cancer, I felt like was enough. And then when it was time, like we told Nixon maybe only like a couple weeks before he had to get his leg amputated, and we just were like, hey, like it's just eating away a lot of your bone. Like we're gonna have to do an amputation. And again, we relayed like he was super into like military, so we're like, you know, a lot of guys go out and they serve wars, and you know, bad things happen. You know, they get their arms amputated, they get their legs amputated, but it doesn't like define who they are. Like they still are amazing, strong warriors who go and fight and battle. And so I think making that connection for Nixon and for our kids, it made sense to them instead of being like a negative thing. And maybe, I don't know, like maybe Jax felt like this too, but it's kind of like a badge of honor, maybe. I don't know, because he never really pitied himself because of it. He would get frustrated for sure. Like he couldn't do things. He couldn't ride a bike or he couldn't run as fast. Like he would get frustrated, but it never was like why me or like why this, I think. And so we shielded, going back to the question, like I kind of just did very basics with them. Radiation was to just keep his pain. Like we just didn't go into a ton of details because I didn't feel like it was necessary for them to process. And then we didn't tell them that he was terminal up until like I knew like for sure like he wasn't going to make it. Like it was like 2 weeks before he passed, because I just, I think I was holding on to the hope that like a miracle would happen, because people are like, you see it, like Maggie said, you see these people and it's like their scans, you know, they've had all these bad scans and this scan came and they're healed and they're cured, and you're just like, and I really thought that was going to be us up until like the week he died, when I just saw him go downhill. And so I didn't want to put that into their minds unless I knew for sure that he was going to pass. And so we kind of just sugarcoated it, and I don't know, I guess lied would maybe be the best answer to him as long as possible. And then we had that conversation of what actually was going on, and it was awful. I don't wish it on anybody, but I don't know. That's just the reality of childhood cancer. Like you can't, I mean, we both know tons of families that are having those same conversations with their kids, and you can't get around it, and there's no sugarcoating it. It's just a fact of it.
Yeah, I don't think there's like a right or wrong way to do it either, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like with Jax being autistic, he wasn't going to do anything unless I told him why. You know what I mean? So I think he had a couple of moments where he was like, did I do something wrong? Is that why I got cancer? And so I had to explain to him, like, no, this is just random. Like, it just randomly happens. You were just unlucky. And that, for him, that was hard to understand because in his mind, everything happens for a reason. Like, there's, you know. And so we let him pick his surgery. So, you know, limb salvage, rotation plasty, or full amputation. I explained all three of them. And then we met a boy named Dylan we were leaving chemo and he was coming in and he's like, that's the leg, right? Like, that's how I would look. And I'm like, yeah. And the boy let him, he's not a boy anymore. He's like 16, but he let him look at, you know, his leg, and Jackson's like, oh, that looks so cool. Like, that's what I want. So he had a little bit of control with that. Like, I was going to do rotation plasty, but he felt like he picked it, right?
Yeah.
So, and we thought he would survive. So that would let him be back in karate. And then I think, if I'm being honest with myself, I think I knew he was going to die when they took the tumor out of his leg and it was 10% dead. Like, they told me, like, oh, you know, necrosis doesn't have, and I saw people like, oh, we had no necrosis and he's still alive or whatever. But in my heart, like, I knew, like, you know. And so then I asked for scans of his lungs and I was right. Like, he had relapsed already and everything. So I started telling him, like, when he had asked, like, cancer kills you, huh? And I said, yeah. He's like, because Grandpa Leon died. And I'm like, yeah, because he got diagnosed right after his grandpa died, like 1 month after his great grandpa. And he's like, well, was it going to kill me? And I'm like, it could, like, maybe, you know. And just not saying yes, just it could, like, that was like enough to keep him, I guess, calm. I'm like, but we're going to fight and we're going to try everything, you know. And our goal is to have a good day every day. And that was like what Corey and I kept saying, like, a good day every day. But with our other kids, we would be like, you know, he's probably not going to make it. Mm-hmm. And then when he relapsed, we rang the bell the day he relapsed again because we were already going to ring it. And I just asked his doctor, I was like, so is he terminal then? And he's like, I mean, yeah, probably. And so, you know, Corey ran out of the room, like, because he was going to lose it there. But I had to tell Jax then, I'm like, hey, we're going to try another chemo because it didn't actually work. Like, it's probably not going to work. And he was like, but it might. I'm like, no, it might. It might work, but it probably won't. And he's like, but there's a chance. I'm like, yeah, there's like a 5% chance. So if I just threw out like the real statistics, like 5% chance that you might survive, he would do like the cabo or whatever, you know? And then we went to Hawaii right after he was really terminal, and they were like, he probably has weeks. And so I remember going back into I had to call Corey and be like, you got to get up here, because he had gone to get our clothes and stuff. And I was like, because, you know, Dietz just told me that he's going to die. Like, and we have to like decide on hospice and stuff like that. And I went in there and I was like, hey, so it's not working. Like, we're probably just going to stop doing things. Like, and he had a full panic attack in that moment in front of the nurse. And that was horrible. He was just like, I don't want to die. Like, I don't want to die. Like, I don't want to, I'm going to miss you guys. I want to be with you. And he was like freaking out. And we called him like, oh, that's awful. And then we had to tell, like, I had to tell my older kids everything, because if I told like my mom, she has no poker face. Mm-hmm. So they'd be like, Grandma's crying. Like, what is happening? You know? And so I had to finally start telling my kids first, like texting like Ryder and Shaden, before I told my mom, because I knew she was going to freak out. So, yeah, and we went home, and he did do like I had to try everything. So I got on the phone with Cleveland Clinic, and he's like, well, we can try this. I mean, it could extend his life, like, but he's going to die. Yeah. And we tried that, but we stopped when we went to Hawaii. It was just killing him faster. Like, he just was not eating and he was throwing up. And I'm like, I don't want him in Hawaii feeling like that. For sure. So, and we didn't think he was going to die the day he died, because the hospice nurse came. Did you get to do hospice or? Yeah. But did Nixon pass at the hospital? No, he was home. Okay. So like, you know how they come and check on once they're like declining, they come and check like every day. She came and she's like, his heart rate is so high right now. So he probably has a couple of days, but you're going to see it start going down. So probably tomorrow, like we'll see like it trending down and then you'll have a few, and I'll let you know like the day of, like you have hours.
Yeah.
It never happened. Like she came, he was fine.
Like awake and everything.
Yeah, he was watching freaking Labyrinth and stuff and bunked and eating turkey bacon. And then that night, like our oxygen machine broke 4 times. Like they had to come deliver oxygen 4 times. Oh, and the last time we had the tanks, you know, the emergency tanks, we were like we had 10 minutes before it was gone. Like we didn't have anything. So they got there in time. And that's when he like started feeling like panic, I think, because he saw that the machines were breaking and he was like, I can't breathe. And so we got him calm, and the Dilaudid and morphine, all that, none of that was working. So I finally just gave him a whole bunch of weed. I was like, okay, we're going to give him this tincture. Like he can't, his spine was full of tumors, so he couldn't lay down because it hurt, and his shoulder was a tumor. And so he like couldn't lay down at all, or like his leg, I'm pretty sure had cancer again, but I had stopped doing scans because like for what?
Yeah.
And so I gave him some drops. He calmed down. He watched the Labyrinth. He went to sleep, and then he died. Like,
it's awful though.
Peacefully though, you know?
But to just, I don't know, to just have to have him go through all that so quick.
And the kids like were seeing it. Like they're all home. Luckily, I don't know why Shaden was at our house, because it wasn't, maybe his mom just let him because we all knew that it was like close.
Yeah.
But I mean, I started screaming, and so that's
because you don't you think you're prepared and you're not prepared.
Yeah, because I went into the kitchen, I grabbed a cookie, I was like sharing it with his dog. I was playing Candy Crush, and then like I couldn't hear him like anymore, like the deep breaths. He didn't have like a death rattle or anything, because I Googled. I expected that. He didn't have that. He was just breathing really heavy, and then he stopped. And so I'm like, Corey, come up here. And he's like, oh yeah, I think he's dead. And so I'm like screaming, and then Ryder's screaming next to me, like I woke him up. And luckily Sophie, without her cochlears, can't hear anything, so she got to like sleep through it. I cleaned his body up, and when she saw him, he was like, he just looked like he was sleeping, you know?
That's
like,
so sad though,
because for her that would have been
way traumatic for sure.
a lot.
That's awful though.
And then just like I don't know if you got this, but like I didn't let anybody come over. I wouldn't let my parents or his parents come over. I didn't let anybody come over that day because Jack said no. And it felt like it wasn't to hurt their feelings, but it hurt their feelings. Like they were upset.
Yeah.
And maybe it's, I don't know. I've never said sorry because I'm not. Actually, I'm kind of a troll like Jax. Like my mom was like in the kitchen. I'm like, are you still mad at me? I was like, actually, I don't give a shit. So don't even answer that. Like, that's fine. Because, well, first of all, that's going to traumatize her.
Yeah.
And my dad. I'm like, my dad's going to have a heart attack if he sees Jax like this. Like, and also like he said no. Like he didn't want anybody to see him in his underwear on the couch, 60 pounds. Like he didn't want that.
Which I think is fine because you still have to protect him as your son. And you did the right thing.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Because sometimes I'm like, I've had people be like, you were wrong for that. And I'm like,
yeah, but have they been through what you've been through? Probably not.
No, I guess that's true.
And I'm like, because I know you and I like kind of texted back and forth about it when he was going downhill. And I think you did the right thing. I think, I don't know, every family's different. And if that's what he wanted, then, and it's a horrific experience. It's a sacred experience. It's a special experience. And so, I don't know. I think you can choose who you want to be a part of that.
Yeah. And I didn't even let anybody come see his body. Like once, you have to call the mortuary.
Yeah.
It was just us, like just my kids with him on the couch and his dogs so they could say bye.
Yeah.
I didn't let anybody see him like that because I know how it felt for me to see him leave in a body bag.
It's
and
awful.
Yeah, it's the worst experience. And for me, like, I'm not going to invite somebody to that. Like, it's my kid. And if he said he didn't want to see anybody or have them see, like, why would you want to remember him like that anyway? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
it's not. Yeah, it's horrific for sure.
Can I, oh, sorry, were you gonna, can I get a few more questions in to you guys?
yeah.
How are you guys doing? This is very heavy. Are we doing okay? You guys are awesome.
It's good.
Yeah.
All right. I lost my 6-year-old son to cancer almost 3 years ago. Every single day is harder than the next. What do you find helpful in navigating your grief?
This one's you.
Maggie's no help right now.
Well, if you're in year 3, you're still in hell. No, just kidding. Like, I don't know. Everybody's different. I'd say the first, I don't know. One thing I read or heard or somewhere is like, give yourself like the amount of grace that you would like your best friend. And that helped a lot. Cause I feel like my first year, I was like, I got to be the super mom. I have to be at the games. I have to. And part of it was I needed that distraction too. So I can't, but I feel like you just feel, sometimes people feel like they need to be doing this or checking the boxes or showing up or looking like this, whether it's their own in their mind or whether it's something perceived like with society. But so with that, I'd just be like, give yourself like the same amount of grace that you'd give your best friend. Like if your best friend was going through this, what would you tell them, you know? And I think that helped because I feel like a lot of times we can be like critical of yourself or you feel like inadequate, that you need to be doing something better than others. And then for her question, I would say like, I don't feel like your toolbox of like what gets people through grief, whether it's like listening to your podcast helped me a ton because I love being able to hear other people's perspectives and what they went through and what helped them or what they're doing and things like that. Like, and it's hard, like, honestly, like nobody likes to hear everybody's most horrific experiences, but I kind of like thrived on it. Like, so like figure out like tools to help you with your grief, whether it's, you know, listening to a podcast or going to therapy or reading books on grief or losing a loved one, or if it's something spiritually or meditating, like you have to get more tools because what might help you in the first year or two might not help you in the next 2 years. And then it might change again and not help you more and more years down the road. So I think you just have to continue to just, because it's a part of you. It's not ever going to leave. And I think people think that because society tells them after year 2, it will be done. After year, 3, it will be done. And it doesn't. It's just more familiar. You wake up every day and it's there and it's a part of you. And you just have to figure out how to incorporate it in your life and function somewhat as a person. So that would be my suggestion, is just realize, accept that it's with you all the time and it's going to be there every single day of your life. And that's obviously awful, as we all know, like waking up, realizing your nightmare over and over and over again, but it's just a more familiarity of it.
Do you ever feel like, do you feel less angry now, or is it the same?
I think it just depends on the days because I go through those cycles where I'm just pissed off. I'm just angry. Like you guys probably both know, like you see that family and they have all their kids and you're just like, I hate you.
And they're complaining about something stupid and you're like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
But then I have those days where I'm more compassionate and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're struggling because your kids are going through this thing. And yeah, I'm like human. I'm a mom. Like, yeah, that does suck. That is hard. So I feel like it's just like the up and downs of it. So I feel like maybe the anger is better because I do go work out more because I still have those days where I'm like, I just want to go beat the shit out of myself. And yeah, just to get that anger out so I don't have it built up, which I think is fine because you lost somebody you love and you care about so much. Like you're going to have those feelings and you shouldn't feel like you should not have them type thing.
Yeah. I feel like I'm always angry, but like I feel like I get triggered by like when people are like, I'm gonna hold my kids tighter, and I'm just like, who says that? That's a weird thing to say to somebody. Like if it took me losing my kid for you to hold your kids, that's not gonna help anybody. Like it's not helping me feel better that you're gonna go hold your kid tighter while my kid's like on my mantle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that bothers me, or like, God needed him more. I'm just like,
Oh my gosh.
like, I've never wanted to throat punch somebody so bad that I don't know until like I started seeing those on Facebook.
The
And I'm like,
cliches.
yeah.
God needed another angel. I'm like, pretty sure God has like a bazillion up there he's fine with. He did not need my kid.
Or he doesn't give you anything you can't carry. And I'm like, okay, so if this happens to you, I'll remember to say that to you
Yeah.
too. Like, are you kidding?
And I think that's kind of the dynamic, like the cliche of grief where people, I've read this book. That's one thing I've done. I've just read a lot of like self-help books and listened to a lot of things. And that is it because people are uncomfortable with it. They're uncomfortable with grief. And so they say things that make them feel okay so that you'll be okay. And it's just like some things just aren't going to be okay. It's not ever going to be okay that you lost your family and you lost your kid and I lost my kids. Like it's never going to be okay. And there's nothing you can do to fix it.
Yeah.
And that makes people uncomfortable. And like you said earlier, like talking about grief makes people uncomfortable. I'm sorry, like, but I can't take this away. This is reality. This is what it is.
And everybody's going to go through grief at some point or another, whether it's a child or a parent or, you know,
Yeah.
like everybody in this world's going to lose someone. So like, why not be there for each other through it, you know?
And talk about it and help each other and be like, this is, just normalize it because like everybody's going to experience it. And if you think you're not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Good luck. Let me know how that works out for you.
And it's totally okay to just be like, yeah, this fucking sucks. I'm sorry. I'm here with you. This sucks.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't fair. Like, that's okay to say rather than something that
God's
will get
holding you in his hands.
Yeah. That it's going to get you karate chopped. Please don't do that to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Can I ask a quick question?
Mhm.
So, Janessa, you've mentioned like a few books that you've read, and then you mentioned working out has been a really good coping tool.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I'm learning while listening to these podcasts and sitting in the room with different people who are grieving is that the level of loneliness is just insane. And while it is helpful to offer coping mechanisms that are good, I'm curious what not good coping mechanisms maybe were used so that other people can see that they're not alone. We just had someone on the podcast that admitted to, you know, she'd been drinking and she knew that it wasn't good. But I think admitting to some of the not proud moments can help people, but then following it up with maybe a specific book and then good ones so we don't end on the,
Bad habit.
the bad habits. But I think just recognizing the bad habits and being like, yeah, I was mean to people, or I drank too much,
Yeah.
or I smoked too much weed, or I wasn't there for my spouse, or I was a bad employee, or whatever that looks like. Because I do think that there are people who are in the thick of it and they can't give themselves grace because they hate themselves and they're just spiraling. I know that's a lot.
Yeah. No.
Classic shotgun.
Yeah.
No, I totally feel that. I mean, I feel like I did have like a ton of anger, and it was more at I mean, obviously like the situation, like we had lost one kid and then we lose Nixon again. And so I was like, what the heck? Like, and part of that was like me, like, what did I do to deserve this? Because honestly, like I'm not a perfect person at all, but I'm not like an asshole. Like I'm not like a mean person. I don't go out and like cause harm to people. And so I just was like, what did I do wrong? And like from a religious standpoint, like where people are like, well, you have to be, and I posted this forever ago on social media because this is something I've struggled with for a lot of years. And I just kind of kept it under the wraps. But it was like, what did I do wrong to deserve this? Because people say, well, God will give you your miracle, or God will give you your blessings. You have to do this, and God will do that. Well, I did all those things, and he didn't give me a miracle. And he didn't give me a blessing, not once, but like twice. Like this happened twice. So like, am I that like awful of a person that like God kept giving me my children and then he'd look at me and be like, yeah, no, we're going to take that one away. Or, yeah, you're screwing up. We're going to take that one away. And so that was like a huge thing that I struggled with, was like kind of the value and the worth of myself, of like, why did this happen to us? And that made me like super bitter and anger, because I convinced myself like, you're just an awful person. Like you're not a good person. Obviously, you're probably not a really good friend. You haven't showed up for your friends this whole time. They helped and showed up for Nixon, but like, what are you doing for them? You're not. You haven't showed up for them, because, I mean, I'm exhausted, So I'm not thinking about others. Like I'm being short-tempered with my kids. Well, then you're not a good mom. Like they could probably use a better mom than you. Like you should probably just die right now, because they could have a better mom who cares about them, or your spouse could have a better wife who is more attentive. And so I did go down that rabbit hole of depression, of just being like, it's because of me. It's because of me that God keeps taking away my kids. Like it's because of me. Like Nixon got sick because I wasn't doing everything that I could have and I should have. And I'm exhausted not being able to meet those expectations. And then like I had this realization, like this like come to Jesus moment, where it's like, no, that's just life. Like life just is the way it is. And like 1090 came into my head, like awful things happen to people, but like, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to like sit in your closet and cry and be like, oh my gosh, I'm this awful person, and then bring that to fruition based on what you're doing? Or are you going to figure it out and be like, okay, this is where I need to change. This is where I need to show up. This is what I need to do. But even if I don't do those things, it's still okay, because I'm just trying. Like, just try your best. And some days you're going to be able to give 80%, and that's awesome. And other days you're going to give 10%, and that's great too. Just try every day to just do your best. And I don't know if that even answered it, but I feel like, to be quite honest, like mine wasn't like a bad habit. It was more of like an internal struggle of like darkness and sadness and like unworthiness,
Like beating yourself up.
for sure.
Yeah.
Which is its own bad habit.
Yeah. And yeah, like getting in your head. I feel like sometimes that's the worst place to go when you're going through something like that, is you get inside your head and you just start this snowball effect. And so like going to the gym, or like I meditate a ton, or like visualize. I did a lot of visualization like after Nixon passed, and just getting that out and clearing your head is a lot helpful.
I just have to say, I just related so well to that. Like,
Me too.
that's what I'm constantly doing in my brain is. I think it's because I think before the car crash, I just believed that life, you kind of created your life and you reap what you sow, and type of thing.
Yeah.
I think I just, to my core, believe that. So when this happened, like, yeah, I just constantly, like, it was my fault for whatever reason. And then the snowball of thoughts, like, now I'm not a good dad to Blue. I haven't talked to Ran and Faith at all. I haven't talked to Keisha forever. I'm not showing up for them. And they, like, you just start hating yourself.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to turn that off. So I appreciate you saying that very much. And I'll try to shut up again.
No, I love your input. I drank a lot, like a lot. I'm talking like 2 bottles daily, of like wine. I'm sure you can relate to that.
I was more of a whiskey guy, but
Corey is too, or Coronas for him. But
hold on. Let me just say this real quick. And then, sorry, Maggie. And because Janessa, you are a great person. You've never done anything wrong in your life. I can't vouch for Maggie. I went to high school with her.
High school years.
No, I'm just joking about it. You guys are both. I think that's a common thing that it's scary for me to talk about that. And I don't know about you. I think the reason it's scary to get vulnerable when to say stuff like that is you're just going to get love bombed. And that's not what we want.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to get. And that's not what I want. But that's what, you're amazing and everyone loves it. It's like, okay, like, that's not what I want. I got, you know what I mean? Anyway, Maggie, you were talking and I interrupted it. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
now that you call me
You were
out.
talking about drinking wine.
Now that you call me out, we're going to go into that. I'm completely different than you, right? So like I didn't grow up religious. My parents they became Mormon because of me for my siblings. Like they didn't want them to be like me when I was 19, I think. So I did go to high school with you, and I'm going to throw Corey in here under the bus too. Sorry, babe. But he was pothead, and you knew him. Like he was at the druggy corner at West Jordan. He was in the pizza area and just like doing dumb shit. And I was a little gangbanger doing dumb shit. Like I went to DT. I was my parents' worst nightmare. And so when Jackson got diagnosed, I was like, this is my karma for everything that I like, even though I've changed and like I'm a freaking teacher, I wear cardigans to school now. I still felt like it was my punishment. And then it added on to that because I don't believe in God. And so I was like, oh, there is one and he's letting me know. And then when I went up there to chemo and I saw, I'm just going to name drop, but I saw McKay's mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the most Christ-like person I have ever met. And I don't, you know what I mean? Like, and she still lost her kid. I was like, okay, like maybe it's not that. And then like, I still didn't believe in God. And I was like, well, maybe the devil will answer me. And that didn't happen either. So for like maybe the first year, I felt like it was me and Corey. I was like, if you had got cancer, I'd be like, okay, like I can see that. All the drugs you've done. Same with me, right? Like, and he has said this too. Like, if it was us, I'd be like, well, we kind of asked for that one. But Jackson, this sweet little autistic baby who like just loves squirrels, and like I had to like pep talk him every time we had a karate tournament because he didn't want to fight because he was like, well, I'm a lover, like like and I'd be like, no, you're not right now, right? You're gonna go kick his ass, and he's like, but I don't want to kick him. I don't want to hurt him. Like this sweet baby. I don't understand. Like it was hard for me. And I think I still struggle with that. I still drink way less thanks to my trainer, but still like last night we were going through the questions and we were drinking, and because Corey was like, let's just prep you because a lot of those are hard. And then he just falls apart too. It's just a lot of alcohol right now for us, but hopefully eventually it'll be something better.
Yeah, we talk about. Oh, sorry, Janessa.
I
go
just was
ahead.
going to say, it's still so new though. Like you're still in the first year of survival and then the second year and the third year of like, so just give yourself grace. Like you're an amazing person. And the fact that like you're teaching and you're a mom who's like attentive and like sees her kids and shows up and you're not in a hole throwing dirt on yourself to bury yourself is give yourself more credit. Thank you.
Yeah, we've mentioned this metaphor before, but there's this Buddhist metaphor, right? Teaching that's about a raft and how this raft will help you across the river. And then once it helps you across the river, you can continue to carry the raft like through the desert, but if you continue to hold on to the raft, it will kill you through the desert. And sometimes I used to look at like bad habits, like beating yourself up, drinking, whatever the bad habit is. I used to look at it as just bad. And like that's all it was. There was nothing good about it. And now I'm starting to think that sometimes bad habits are the only thing that's keeping you alive. And it's this raft that's getting you across the river, but like to your core that like eventually you're gonna get across the river, whatever that means, and you've got to ditch the raft. You have to ditch the self-loathing.
You love the rap sometimes.
You like because you hate yourself and you love the drinking, like because it works.
You have to let it go.
But letting it go means you have to feel it
With
without
something
the alcohol,
else.
and that is
Scary.
yeah.
There's a lot of time to feel.
Corey
Like,
went like 2 weeks
many
without
hours
drinking, just barely, and could not function. Like last night, he's like, "I have to drink. Like I'm crying as I'm driving to work. Like and you know that feeling." And I don't judge. I'm like, yeah, you do you, like, whatever to get you past the next 6 hours without like wanting to kill yourself. Because
Janessa, how'd you avoid not drinking? You're not a drinker. You just.
I just don't like the smell of it. But I did go through a phase, like, I baked so many goods, like, after Nixon died. Like, my kids are like, oh my gosh. I gained so
I don't
much
like
weight.
the smell of it.
I'm like, I gained so much weight. I baked so many goods. And even now, like, hard times will come and I'll be cooking up a batch of cookies and I'm like, what are you doing?
What am I coping right now?
Go back. Exactly. I'm like, I know exactly what, like, my son, just left on his mission. I'm baking up
Oh,
cookies.
wow,
And
yeah.
I was like, oh, put those away. They're all 50
Well,
of
just,
those.
just give them to me, but still bake them.
Okay, I will.
I love that. I love that.
Before you ask
Sorry.
the question,
Yeah.
I've got you've mentioned books.
Oh, my book.
Oh yeah,
I need
I do.
one
Like
or
a
two
grief
books.
book.
Yes.
He'll read it.
Oh my heck. Oh, okay. So this one I just barely read. So like I'll go read my books, like usually in the sauna, and I'll take a pen and I'll highlight things and I'll write things off to the side because it's kind of like just becomes like a workbook. And then if I want to go back through them, then I can just go through and read like points that stuck out and highlight. And I didn't start reading books until like, I think year 2 or 3, because mentally it just wouldn't stick. It just went in, went out, went in, went out. Like my brain was just such a mess after that. So there's one called like, It's Okay, You're Not Okay, like Megan Devine or something. I just barely finished that one. And that was a good one because it really just touches base on the whole grief and the culture and our society of grief. And it helps you understand what you're going through from your perspective as somebody who's grieving, and then what other people are probably perceiving and not doing and doing. You know what I mean? So kind of more of an educational one about that. So that was a really good one. I started trying to read The Body Keeps the Score. I don't know if you guys ever read that one. That was just really in depth. I started it like, I don't know, year 2 or 3, and it was just too smart people for me. But that is a good one, what I read, because it does talk about, I don't think people realize when they think about grief, they just think of like your emotional and the aspect of it, but it really affects you. Obviously, we know brain wise, like your brain just is gone, like it's mush. And it can, a lot of people like have a lot of like physical problems because of grief and carrying it. And if you don't figure out how to navigate your grief and understand it and just good coping mechanisms, like it makes people sick, like physically sick, like they get diseases and stuff. And I think because your body just holds on to that.
I gained like 50 pounds at that hospital.
Oh, well, yeah, you're just sitting there.
Well, but like we're also not eating because like
Yeah.
and I'm like, how am I gaining
I'm
it?
not
Like,
eating.
I'm not eating. What the hell?
Yeah. Crappy diet. No, but I think your body does react to the trauma of it and it changes in different ways. And I feel like understanding that going through, and even not even grief. I feel like even just having like your kid diagnosed with cancer or any type of disease or cerebral, like any of those big things that it affects you, just knowing like how it affects you physically, not only just like normal life, can help you figure out how to cope better. So I don't know.
Janessa, I got another question for you.
Okay.
Janessa, can you talk about how your family recently learned that Nixon's cousin has the same type of cancer? So sorry for what you guys are going through.
Yeah. So it's my brother's son. He's 17. His name is Crew. And gosh, guys, sorry. Oh, it's awful. I know.
It's awful.
It hits home. So he's a big football player, runs track. So he was doing 7s this past spring on a team. And if I remember right, if I get this wrong, but he'd gotten tackled or landed weird or something and fractured his rib, which I feel like is a common thing with football players and things, but I think their doctor said maybe not. But anyway, so he'd had this rib injury that he'd kind of been dealing with all throughout the spring, doing 7s for football and track, and it just was still there. And, they're like, well, ribs take a while to heal and stuff. And anyways, he just kept getting in more pain, and then it started to swell. So his mom and dad took him in, and they did an x-ray, and they just said, it just doesn't look good. So they went up to primaries, and went in for a biopsy, and he texted me, and I just was like, well, it's going to be fine. Like, it's probably just a weird growth, just from his rib healing. It's not going to be cancer. Even the doctor who went in to do the biopsy said, I've done a bazillion of these and I really don't think it's cancer. And my cute nephew, he was just, he knew, he saw everything that Nixon went through. My brother's been a part of, Nixon's, he was hands-on like with Nixon, and he does a ton with the foundation for us. And so they know. And so my nephew was just like, they know what a port is. So he's like, well, if it's cancer and I wake up and I have a port, like, that means I have cancer. And they're like, yeah. So they went in and did the biopsy, and they come out and tell my brother and his wife, like, looks like it's osteosarcoma. And then my poor nephew has to wake up in recovery, and he's like, what the freak? Like, I have a port. Like, he knows. And so it just sucks, because we didn't think in a bazillion years, like, we would be here again. And not me personally, like, just for them, and just knowing, like, what they have to go through, and, like, what crew has to go through. I don't think they know all the way. Like, they saw it with Nixon, but I don't know. We just kept a lot to ourselves, maybe, or, we didn't always say, like, how hard it was. And that was a kid. I was able to sugarcoat it a lot. So I think having a teenager have to go through this, it's going to be hard for him for sure. He's in for a long battle.
I just can't believe it's happening in your family again.
I know.
And also, can we just talk about how they come into that waiting room with a million people around you to tell you that they have cancer? Because that fucking sucks.
We got pulled to a special room. Did you get pulled to a special room? Oh, that's awful.
They were like, we were just sitting by the window, and they're like, after, when I started crying, he was like, yeah, so it is osteosarcoma, just like we thought. And I'm like, and there's people like watching it. People are trying not to look at us. Like, yeah.
They literally are viewing the worst moment of your life.
Mm.
That's awful.
And then they pulled us into the little room right there with like the Kleenex and stuff. I think if they had told me to come anyways, I would have. Yeah. Yeah. How is your brother?
I feel like they're just in that just trying to navigate it. He's had one round of chemo so far, and so they're trying to balance. They're just trying to figure it out. I feel like nothing, even though we went through it, nothing prepares you for it, as far as like the chemotherapy, the hospital stays, not going to be in school now, not going to be a part of your football team now, limiting your interactions with your friends because you feel like crap. Like, and then just like the mental aspect of it. I feel like with Nixon and with younger kids, maybe you can manipulate the mental aspect of it, but he's older. He knows, like, it's just, yeah, I think it's pretty rough. They're in the first stages of just trying to figure out what this all is and how to balance it.
God, and the worst part is he has a phone, so he can Google all those scary statistics.
Yeah.
That's one thing our kids didn't.
No.
And
even if they did, I'd be like, oh, the internet lies.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It was like,
I was so
to carry.
Yeah. And I feel like that's just, we both know a ton of families that have older kids with cancer, and I just can't imagine having to do that and not being able to protect them. I think it's the biggest part, because as a mom, I was able to protect Nixon. I was able to shield it and hide it, but not being able to protect them it's hard. But they're all right. We've learned a lot from what we didn't do with Nixon, and I think I reached out to you about things that helped with Jax, and we're just gonna try our best to support them and throw everything we can at it to help them.
It sucks because, and you said it before, like, you just can't fix it. So even though you've gone through it, there's only so much help you can even provide other than just the knowledge of how brutal it is.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating.
Yeah.
At least to hear, like, I can't imagine what it's like. But can I ask one more question and then maybe say all the things you guys want to say, and we'll start wrapping it up soon? it's hard to talk about positive things, especially if you're Maggie and you're just year one going through this. But what's something you like about yourself now that maybe you didn't have before you lost your son to cancer?
Empathy. My first year teaching, and I think I said this before on the other one, on the other podcast we did, but I was really strict, you know, like I loved my students and everything, but like I was really strict. Like I was known as the strict third grade teacher, you know, it's like, you better listen to me. But now I can, and also like this last year I had a cancer kiddo in my class. Like no one else knows, but like I know. And so like I can see like, if he's lagging in answering a question, I can be like, okay, he probably, you know, chemo effects or
Right.
whatever. If a kid is crying, I can be like, something's going on at home rather than just be annoyed. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, or if a kid's acting out, it's like something is going on in his little brain. And obviously, these are like logical things, but until you live something so traumatic, like you don't think of that. Like you just think like, okay, you're disrupting my lesson. Like shut your mouth, right? But now it's like pulling them into the hallway. Like, what's up? What's going on? Do you need to go see the counselor? Like, I feel like it's made me a better teacher. And I'm able to empathize with people on the internet that I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not, I mean, like, I don't go say stupid stuff, but like, I can empathize. Like, I can, like, yeah, that freaking sucks. Like, what you're going through sucks. And even if I didn't live it, I can empathize with people better.
For sure. I probably would have to be probably the same, just being able to maybe understand people more and be, I don't know, just understand of like what they're going through and just trying to be, I mean, not that I wasn't before, I wasn't put in a position to do it. And I think since losing Nixon and being more involved with like trying to help people who are going through having a kid with cancer, it's been able to just, same thing, just help me be more empathetic and just see how you can help in any way, where before I might have just been caught up in my own life and what I'm, you know, I have my own kids or I'm doing this, but it's made me kind of take a step back and kind of help others and relive what we went through them and with them, and kind of keeps you humble of what you have, I guess, because I'm grateful for where we are and what we have, and I'm grateful my kids are healthy, the ones I have. I'm like every day I'm grateful that they're healthy and I'm not back up at the hospital with another one of them.
That's triggering. I had to go do Sophie surgery, and that was, I did not like walking those hallways. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. We went, my little boy, he just had the same pain in his knee, same as Nixon, leg pain. And I just was like, here we go. And I just was like, I just know. And it wasn't, we went and did x-rays, we went and did blood work, because I was like, I'm not leaving till I know for sure. But yeah, ended up being nothing. But
Sorry to interrupt, but we actually did get a lot of questions about symptoms. A lot of questions about what symptoms did they both have. Maybe we can touch on that real quick, because a lot of people did ask about that. And I know the leg
yeah,
was one
Nixon's,
of them.
it was growing pains. It was his legs hurt. And I think similar thing like you, where doctors, or not, I don't know if it was technically doctors, but you talk to other moms, and he was 6 at the time, and they're like, yeah, that's typically when growing pains are. And I don't know if this is for Maggie, you could back me up if I'm wrong about this, but like, is growing pains actually a thing, or do they just say that? Like, I swear I've never heard it was like actually doctorated, like there are growing pains.
I don't know that it's like super scientifically proven, but I know that like my Jackson's pediatrician said, like, if it's pain that you're feeling and then you get to fall asleep and it doesn't wake you up and it's just like all over like pain, like that can be normal because you're
Yeah.
growing. But if it's like you fell asleep and you woke up and it's always in the same spot, that's not
That's
good.
not good.
Yeah. And so, yeah. We didn't get to see him though when we got diagnosed. I actually just knew because Jackson was hopping on one foot and I thought he had overextended it at karate. And then he did it again the next weekend. And I had seen your story. Like we followed you. Jackson was 2. Because I think Nixon is 1 year younger than my oldest. Jackson was 2.
Yeah.
And we followed everything that you posted, like growing pains, the pains in the, you guys were going to a baseball. Like I knew your story. Like it stuck out to me, which is kind of weird, right? like how much I have seen other cancer stories, but yours stuck out to me. And so when I saw him hopping, I was like, oh, he's got cancer. And everybody was like, you're crazy. My mom was like, because we go to Lifetime. So we did like the fundraisers that you guys did. We would go to that. And she was like, no, you're just like traumatized from like what the Whatcotts went through. And I'm like, no, he has cancer. And she was like, okay, then just take him in. I mean, what does it matter? $50 for somebody to tell you like, no, he doesn't have it. Right. And when we went in, we just had this dumbass lady, and she was like looking at him like this, like, I don't think it's a big C. And I'm like, well, my eyes and your eyes are the same. How can you see through his?
Yeah.
You can't.
Can't see through his leg.
So I asked for an X-ray, and then it was like something weird, you know. And then as we went up there, they kept saying it was a bone infection, but I just knew, like, just based off everything, like it clicked in my head, like, oh, he was throwing up at Disney, nosebleeds, like all the things that you had posted about, it clicked. And I was like, no, it's that. So when we went in for the biopsy, like I was prepared for it until they told me, and then I wasn't prepared for it. But so basically, thank you, because if I had never seen your story, I would have just chalked it up to he got hurt at karate.
Yeah, and waited a few months. I just think trust your gut, like as a mom, like you know when something's wrong. And what's it gonna hurt? You have a doctor push back on you, but just trust your gut and I don't know, do the extra blood work if you feel like it. Like if at the end of the day, if it's nothing, then you know you have a peace of mind. But if it could be something and you catch it early, that could be the difference between life and death.
And with osteosarcoma, you're not going to be able to tell it through pee or blood like you do with leukemia or neuroblastoma. So you definitely have to get scans wherever it's hurting. But things that happen to all cancer kids would be like being tired, fatigued, like they're not, like Jackson did never take naps, like not like by choice. Like I forced him sometimes, but like he wouldn't do it by choice. But he was now taking like 3-hour naps. Or like at Disney, we had to leave Disney to take a 3-hour nap. His nosebleeds, I mean, he always had those because he had asthma. But if your kid doesn't have an inhaler and is getting random nosebleeds, that's, something's, yeah. Yeah.
Well, how do we feel? We ready to end this thing with movies or what?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll get started. I'll go for it. Let's do kid movies. You're doing kid movies?
Yeah.
Or, give me Iron Giant. Give me, I'll take Megamind off your hands. And I'll wrap it up with The Incredibles. No, Monsters, Inc.
Oh, dang. Those are good
Or
ones.
The Incredibles.
Okay.
Why am I passing you the mic?
Oh, I don't know. I was about to take it too. For me, I think, and this is a Jackson one, but The Goonies. So I'm obviously like not white, so I grew up watching novellas, right? Like I watched soap operas. I did not watch like these. I watched The Goonies at like 30. Okay. With Jackson, we both had the first time, and he was like, why would they break him out before lunch? Like now he's going to be a criminal that's hungry all day. Like who does that? And
I love the way his mind works.
yeah. So that one.
Yeah.
He just want people to be fed, That one, Minecraft recently, because he was a Minecraft kid. His leg was Minecraft. And he would always tell me like, yeah, Dad would be like, he would live like in the kitchen in Minecraft because he loves food. And I'm like, what about me? And he'd be like, the netherworld. And you'd hang out with the piglins. And I had no idea what the hell that meant. And when I watched it, it's literally hell and demons. So thank you, Jackson. Miss you too, babe. I was like
so much
shocked when I watched it. I kept looking at Ryder. I was like, you knew that? And he's
That's
like,
where he sent me.
yeah, he's like, I knew. I just didn't want to tell you yet.
Oh,
So
good ones. Is it our favorite or their favorite kid movie?
Either one, whatever you want. Maybe their favorite, though.
Let's see. I'll do Nixon's favorite because I feel like he loved Good Burger. It's not a cartoon. Have you guys your kids ever watched? It was every time I turned that on, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? The stupidest show ever.
I love that.
So awful. So awful.
For Nixon.
I'm so sorry, but I hated that show. Every time he chose it in the hospital, I was like, oh my God.
I think there's a second one now. Yeah, you might have to watch it.
Oh, I'm not telling my youngest about that. So yeah, I'll do his favorite movie. He loved that. His next one was probably like Planes, Fire and Rescue. That came out when he was younger, and he loved that. So we went from like Good Burger to that, and yeah. But we watched a ton of movies in the hospital. Probably the same.
Good Burger's a good one.
You guys, it's awful.
Points in my book.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I had the same experience with Mickey Mouse. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I told him, Nikki, I'm like, we need to mic you up. He's like, no, it'll be good.
Maggie, you want to start us off?
Yes. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% what you do about it.